Hi guys. Well, here's my ES-345. This one was made in 1972, and when I bought it, it originally had the Varitone control in it and stereo, and I took all that out recently, and well, here's the Varitone switch, and here's the choke transformer for it. I took all that out because it's just a tone suck, really, and yeah, I know maybe I might burn in hell for ripping into a vintage instrument, but the fact is I have no intention of ever selling this guitar. I own this guitar. The story is, it was in one of my previous videos, that I bought this guitar back in the 90s. I had it for 5 or 6 years and I had to sell it because I ran into so many problems and I had to let it go, and I kicked myself ever since. And then I stumbled upon it in a music store that sells vintage guitars here in Toronto, and I bought it back on the spot. So I'm not going to let it out of my hands again, but I want it to be playable the way I want it to be. And so this thing here, even when you have it turned right off in the number one, it still sucks the tone, and the stereo bit is just a pain in the ass. So I took all that out and I basically built a new harness in ES-345 configuration, so it doesn't have any of that stuff. But I'm using new parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out those new parts, I'm going to put those in another guitar, and I'm going to rewire the original pots. These are the original pots and caps, the original switch from 1972. I'm going to rewire this all up as a 335 and reinstall it back in the same guitar, because I think it's just fitting that it has its own parts, as long as they're still good, which these are. So give me a second to get set up, and we'll get started on the rewire. Just for an interesting side note, this is one of the original pots out of the guitar. It's from 1972. And it's supposed to be 500K. That's what it says on the back of the pot. But you'll notice it's just hovering around the 400K mark, which I thought was interesting. They made crappy parts back then too, but it's the original part, so it's going to go back in. Okay, I'm trying to keep the pots together, the tone volume and the tone volume. So this one came from here. So what I'm doing is the cap is remaining attached to the tone pot as it was originally, so it's more of a modern style of wiring, but I'm going to leave it like that. And this is the original wire, and I've peeled back the shielding, and you notice just a little bit of hairiness around the wire. Just burn it off with a lighter, let it go back, and that helps to keep that out of the picture. And this wire will go to the end lug right here, and then the pickup will go to the center lug. So I'm going to use my existing blob of solder that's on here, right there. Try to position everything so that it just lays in place properly. So I just have to solder here and solder the wire on, and we are good to go. Don't want to use too much solder because you don't want it to run down the lug and into the pot. That cause you problems. Okay, so now gotta wait for this to warm up a little bit. Oops, shed some more light on things. Okay, let that cool. There. That's good. Okay, so that's that one. I'll do the same to the other one, and then we'll hook up the switch. Okay, what we're going to do now is put on the output jack. So when you're looking at the switch here, you got 3 lugs on one side. The middle one's the ground. This would be for either the bridge or the neck pickup, depending on which way it's which. I haven't figured that out yet. And this one is for the output jack. So what we're going to do is solder the output jack to this. The hot wire goes there, and then the shielding is the ground. So the shielding will solder to the ground lug. So let me get that set up here, my little clamp, and we'll do that. Okay, so just a little dab of solder will do you, because there's already some on there. And there we go. That's good. Now I'm going to flip it over, and we will do the ground. This is a tricky bit, getting it to sit just where you want it. There we go. Okay. Here we have the switch connected to the output jack. Next we do is the wires that run from here to the pots. One thing's probably a good idea while I've got the thing apart is I'm going to give it a shot of contact cleaner, because they are 42 years old and there's probably some crap in there, and I really don't want to have to tear it apart again because of scratchy pots. It is an ES guitar, so everything goes in and out through the F-holes, which is a major pain in the balls if you have to do some just simple pot cleaning. There's a Les Paul where you just pop the back off, it's different, but this is the old school way of doing stuff. There goes my furnace again. Fucking thing. Noisemaker. You put a man on the moon, but they can't make a furnace that doesn't make a racket when you're trying to shoot a video. Oh well. So, yeah, anyway, got these all, nice shot of contact cleaner. Should make them smooth as a baby spot. Okay, got the guitar on the bench. Just going to remove the good old witch hat knobs, which I always thought were pretty cool, and came from this era of Gibson. Get off of there, you bastard. Here we go. So put these aside. And this currently is just a dead pot. There's nothing attached to it. It's just there to fill the hole where the Varitone was. So I'm just going to leave that. That's not going to cause any other problems. I'll just take the knob out of the way. Take the knob off the switch too. Just as little in the way as possible. So I think I will, if I can find my screwdriver again, take the pickup out too, because I might wind up fishing stuff through the pickup cavity instead of the F-holes. I haven't quite decided on that yet, so I'll put the screws out of the way where they won't get lost. And, this around where you can see what I'm doing. Here. This is one of the cool things about these 72 Gibsons, is that it's the only year that they put the Gibson stamp on the pickups. They you might find the odd 71 or the odd 73, but 72 was the primary year where they did that. and they stopped because they were getting complaints from their dealers who had to do repairs on the guitars. Back in the day, there were no specific neck pickups or bridge pickups. They were pretty much the same. You just stuffed one and wired it up and you're good to go. But so if you had to do repairs, it became a problem with the Gibson on because you had to use a dedicated bridge pickup or a dedicated neck pickup, even though underneath the pickups were the same. The covers were different. Now you could simply change covers, I suppose, but anyway, that's what I heard. Also, too, there might have been a question of cost as well. It costs more to make the covers like this, but that dealer thing is the reason that I heard about why they changed it. I kind of like it. I think they look pretty cool like that, but that's just my humble opinion. Anyway, get moving on. What I'm going to do is unscrew all this stuff, and then we'll start fishing it back out of the guitar. Okay, so we just use a 1/2-inch socket. It's a good thing to keep on hand because a lot of things on your guitar are 1/2-inch. The nuts will hold the pots in, obviously. The nut for the jack. Also the nuts that hold the tuners in place too on many guitars that I haven't got a press-in ferrule. This one has the press-in ferrules, but the other ones, most other ones, have a nut that holds the tuners in place. And I am in a habit of whenever I restring my guitar, if it has those type of tuners, I will give those little nuts a crank because they like to work themselves loose and you don't notice it. And then there'll come a time, and this is from experience, where you'll be playing, you'll be hearing this annoying buzz, and it'll drive you fucking mental because you don't know what it's coming from. Well, I found out that that's what it was. So now every time I restring, I take my little socket and just give them a little hand crank to make sure that they're nice and tight. And not too tight, you don't want to crack the headstock, that would suck. Just give them a little snug, and you'll never have that problem. It's a simple little thing, and it takes 2 seconds to do. It's a 1/2-inch socket, if you can make it out there, 1/2 inch on there somewhere. Okay, so we've got everything discombobulated, and now comes the fun bit, trying to get it all out of there. So we're going to pull it out through here. One thing that I have to deal with first is this, the wire for the ground. Bring it around there. This wire here is a ground wire. It runs to the tailpiece. Let me put some stuff down so I can see. I don't go burning my guitar. I said spectacles. Recommend just okay, so this will just tuck out of the way. Now, the rest of it will come out through here. Gets got to do the wire for the front pickup right here. Okay, so there, all removed. I'm going to scratch the shit out of my guitar. Okay, give me a minute to get reorganized, and we will start installing the the new old harness. Okay, getting ready to connect the pots to the switch. I've got two different lengths of wire here. The long one, this really long ass one, this is for the bridge one. And the reason for that is because I don't want the wire, if they're laid out more or less like this, I don't want this wire cutting across the F-hole to get to that pot. So what I'm doing is I'm going to route the wire, the long wire, where I put it here. This is going to go around all the other pots and then back up to this one. That's why this one's long. The other one's short because I don't have the F-hole problem. So that'll just go straight from here to here. So that's what I'm doing. Here's a piece of the braided wire. If you're not familiar with this braided wire, it's really cool because it's a single lead, but the outer braiding is used as the ground, and then the inner piece here is the hot part. And what we do is, if we can find our little knife, hang on a second, got my little knife, and I just trim a little bit of the paper back, and there you go. Sometimes you can peel that back. This stuff's a little stiff, so I just trim it off. And sometimes too, if you peel it back, it likes to creep back up again to the end. So same again, just do this side very carefully. You don't want to cut into the wire. There. And there we go. I'm trying to squish down all these little hairies there. Okay, and keep the shielding back far enough that it's not going to touch the hot wire. Sometimes you get these little rough edges, little loose hairs there. One of them touches that, it'll cause you no end of grief, and sometimes it's a bitch to find it. So just do it tidy right off the bat and you're good to go. Okay, so here we are with the switch. I've marked it. The black is for the bridge side, and the piece without the black is for the neck. So I'm going to solder that on, real simple like, and then what'll happen, we'll solder that, and then the shielding will solder to the shielding for the input jack, and that will serve as the ground because this is already grounded. So first things first, we will do the lug. Okay, sorry about that. Kid just came in the door. Alright. A little dab will do ya. Right there. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you're trying to do a video, you know, my son will come in the door or whatever, or get kind of cause a little bit of grief, but that's okay. That's what they do. Okay, so there's that one. Now I'm going to do the neck side, or sorry, the bridge wire, and we'll use this one here because it's still got a little bit of solder on it from last time it was used. If I can turn this around a bit so you can see it better, and so I can see it better too. Okay. Not hard, and I'll clip that little extra off there in a few minutes. Okay, so there we have the wires for the pots, for the switch, and for the jack. And now what we do is we're going to solder them all together. Move this shielding back a bit because I don't like it so close to that terminal. Like I said, that sort of thing. Oops, I want to take off that much. That's the sort of thing that causes you no end of grief. Where you get something like that that has a little bit of the shielding is touching someplace where it shouldn't, and it causes you a nightmare. Push this back like a snake. Get back there. Okay, hang on. Okay, got her all set up here. And I'm going to solder all this stuff together. I'll do this side. There. There. It's a nice neat solder joint. All three are soldered together, so they act as the ground for each other. The center one, this one goes to the jack. It goes to this lug here, which is ground. And this one is the wire that goes to the pot for the neck pickup. And this one is the wire that goes to the pot for the bridge pickup. And of course the shielding being the ground for all three, so they all have a common ground. So that's what that's all about with the switch. So we're pretty much done with the switch now. Now we got to connect up the pots to the switch wires. Okay. Here's the wire for the neck pickup to the pickup from the pot to the switch. So this is going to go through that lug, and then I'm going to solder the wire, the shielding, to the shielding on the other one. Complete the ground. Okay, so that's in there. Give that a moment to set. Now that's done, I'm going to try to position everything so it stays in place. Then I'm going to solder this wire to that wire, and that will give me a good ground. The trick is to try and get everything to lay down just where you want it. I can put down there. There we go. My phone be useful for something. Okay, so just apply a little heat and have a solder in there, get things going. And solder tends to go where the heat is applied. So that's what we're doing. There. And there you go. That's all it takes. A little dab will do you. You don't need gallons of it. Okay, so hang on a sec, and let me get this sorted out, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, here's where the fun begins. What I have to do is fish all the parts. I'm going to go through the pickup cavity because it's the biggest part, and then I have to run everything out through the appropriate holes. But it has to be done in a particular order. You don't want to be crisscrossing wires or getting things wrapped around. So I'm going to do the bridge tone first, and the bridge volume. Those are out of the way, and then I'm going to move on to something else, probably the neck tone and the neck volume. But one of them will have to have this wire soldered to it because this is the ground. So I'll decide on that when I get there. What I'm doing is I'm using these wires here and wrapping them. Push it through the hole first. Like that. And then it gets wrapped around the pot. Okay, so first things first, we're doing the the bridge tone. So we fish it through that. A little help from the middle finger. And there it is in place. So we take our washer, and we take our pointer. I like to put a washer under the pointer. Pulls the pointer up off the body a little bit. It's not, you know, vintage correct or anything, but who cares? It's just the way I like it. I'm not one of these people who's all anal about vintage correct this and vintage correct that. As long as it's reasonable. I mean, it is a 42-year-old guitar, and it is my guitar. I'm the one that has to play it, and I'm the one that enjoys it, so it will be how I like it. And if I burn in hell for defacing a vintage instrument, so be it. I do guarantee you this, though, will be a hell of a lot more useful without that Varitone. So those things just suck tone like there's no tomorrow. I know there's people out there who will disagree with that, and that's all good, you know. Disagree all you want. You like the Varitone, knock yourself out, but it just doesn't do it for me. And it didn't when I had the guitar before, 20 odd years ago. It was closer to 25, but I didn't know anything about removing it. I didn't know it could be removed. I didn't know anything about this kind of stuff. I've learned it since. Okay. Now, I try to put things together so that the wires are hidden. So it means you have to twist the pot one way or the other, like this one here. I'm twisting it around to get the wires away from the F-holes, because that looks like shit. You don't want that. So just using the wire here to hold it steady. Alrighty. Some of the more attentive of you may have noticed I forgot to connect the pickup up when I put that into the guitar. So that's what I'm going to do now. We're doing the bridge pickup. There's a nice shot of it, if anybody cares to notice the patent sticker and all that. So the what happens here is a hot lead goes there. It goes to the same pot that the tone is connected to. So we'll warm things up. Push the wire through. Let everything cool down. My hand was in the way, sorry about that, but it's getting kind of awkward to work now. Okay, and I'm going to put the ground right here. Very handy little glob of solder that I'll make use of. I'll put that on there. I think you can see. Okay. Now we fish said pot through the thing. Okay. Now that we have the pickup in place, we can push the pot through and up through the bowl. There we go. Now, put on a flat washer, long pointer, and put on the nuts. the pointers that they're all more or less pointed the same direction. And give it a snug. Here we go. Okay. Pickup wire. It's going to be a problem, but I can push that up out of the way afterwards. Okay. That's that. Okay. What I'm going to do now is run this wire down in the round. Get that out of the way. The other pot. To put the jack in place now. Same thing I'll be doing with the wire. Okay, hang on. Okay, I'm going to connect the neck pickup up to its pot. It's going to go on this lug right here, and then, like the other one, it's going to solder. The shield is going to solder on for the ground. That's not good. Okay, I got the wire soldered onto the terminal. This is for the neck pickup. I just have to solder the ground on. And find my solder. Complete the ground. And everything should work nice and hum-free. Whenever you get a wicked hum out of your guitar when you're touching it somewhere, touching the strings or tuners or anything metal, it's usually a ground. In fact, it's almost always a ground problem, which can be easy to find or it can be a bitch to find. So that's why it's always important when you're doing stuff like this to make sure that you don't have any grounding problems. Nothing shooting out. Everything is properly grounded. Take your time and do it properly, because troubleshooting a ground can be a major pain in the ass. So hopefully we won't have that problem today. Okay, now what is going to happen here, we just have to get everything lined up properly, is I'm going to take this is the wire for the bridge volume. I'm going to swing that down out of the way, and then I'm going to take the jack and pull it through the hole. Excuse my mitts in the way here. Sometimes it's the only way you can do things. So I'm going to push this wire through and just bunch it up into a little knot. Okay, everything's installed. Now we're going to do the tap test. So I got a little amplifier here plugged in and switched on. Yep. So go down to the bridge one. Everything's wide open. That little noise is my lamp. I don't know why it's making that noise. Anyway. Sounds good. Volume works. Tone works. Go up to the neck. here. Both. Here you go. This is just a dead pot. There's nothing attached to that. And alright, put her back together, string her up, and see what it sounds like. Okay, it's all done. Everything's back together. It's restrung, brand new strings. And I've got it on my Blues Deluxe, set clean. On the clean channel, we'll start with the bridge pickup. Go to the middle. That's middle, both pickups, and we'll go up to the neck. So there you have it. Back to the original pots. Everything in there now is 1972. And let's just try the tone. We'll do the bridge pickup. That's with the tone all the way off. Neck pickup. Halfway, not much difference. Okay, 1972 ES-345. All the original parts back in it, except the Varitone and the stereo has been removed. Any questions? Let me know. Thanks for watching.